You can never change what's happened to you. What's happened to you is happened to you. All right. But what you can do is give whatever has happened to you a meaning that now begins to serve you in, your life and your marriage and your business. Alrighty, guys. Well, welcome back to another episode of the Champion Life Podcast. I'm your host, Curt Tucker. Today, guys, I want to talk to you about change the meaning, change your life. See, I was on a coaching call with one of my clients yesterday, and we were talking about a couple things in his life, some things that had happened in the past, and also some current things that he was going through like in real time. And as he was talking, something came to my mind and I began to kind of unravel things with him. Now, he could understand this very well, the analogy that I'm going to give you today, because I know that if you take this and you implement this into your life, you literally can have a immediate breakthrough in one area, but it could be in multiple areas. And so one of my clients, he's a former Marine, he's in sales, it's very high paced, there's a lot of stuff going on, there's a lot of moving parts. And as he was talking, here's one thing that he said to me, and maybe you can align with this. He said, I just feel overwhelmed. I want you to think about that for a second. Is there anything that you are going through right now, or as I like to say, growing through, where you just feel overwhelmed? Like you literally feel like you can't handle it, like there's pressure on your shoulders, like you feel weighed down, like something is just too much to handle. I've been there, by the way. So I want you to think about that situation for a second. Is it something in your marriage? Is it something that you're dealing with in your health right now where you're just losing hope? You feel overwhelmed. Maybe there's another gentleman that I'm getting ready to coach that he's been after doctor, and he's done this and he's done that, and he hasn't got anywhere. Actually, it's gotten worse. So whether it's your health, it's your marriage, or in my other client's situation where he's talking about his profession, I said, listen, we got to change the meaning of what you're giving to what's going on right now, because at the end of the day, the meaning that you're giving to your work situation right now of saying it's overwhelming is creating a negative environment for you. And it's a loop that just continues to feed itself, by the way, right? So I said, listen, why do you feel like you're overwhelmed? And we begin to talk through what he meant by when he said, I just feel overwhelmed. Essentially, he's just so busy and he really doesn't have the team that he needs to support him. So everything falls back onto him. And he's got so much business, so much opportunity right now in front of him that he feels overwhelmed. And I said, hey, listen, we need to reframe this. I said, I want you to write down these three words: abundance of opportunity. And as soon as I said it, you could see like something clicked in his mindset. That one little shift of, instead of looking at all this work that was piling up on his desk in front of him, that he felt like he was never going to get caught up, that literally he even said, I guess I'm just going to have to be okay with being overwhelmed because there's no way I'm ever going to be able to catch up. And it literally was just draining him. It was giving him a negative energy. And we've had this conversation in the past. And the moment it was like, okay, now instead of us looking at this situation with this, overwhelming feeling and all this work that has to be done, and I'm sure for some of my entrepreneur friends out there, you can relate, is what if we just reframed it and we gave God thanks and we said, you know what, I'm so grateful and I'm so thankful for the abundance of opportunity in my life. See, sometimes when I'm leading my Bible study at the guys at the church, at Victory Church, one of the things that I love to say and remind the guys of as they're growing, and even remind myself, is that many things that I could potentially choose to complain about today in my life, there is at one point in my life that I was praying for that. Think about that for a second. Have you ever been in a situation in your life where literally today you are living the life that one day you prayed for? You prayed for that spouse. You prayed for that business. You prayed for that child. You prayed for whatever. And now all of a sudden you have it and you have that overwhelming feeling because let's just be real, friends. It takes work, it takes effort to be in a marriage. It takes work, it takes effort to grow a business. It takes work, it takes effort to build a strong, healthy body. So here's the deal. We can either choose to feel overwhelmed or we can choose to change the meaning and we can put it into something that gives us a positive state. So I want you to think about this. Meaning is so important. There's a book called The Body Keeps Score. And there's some teaching that my wife has went through in trauma, and what it teaches you how to do is to understand that there are some things that have happened to you in your life. And here's the deal. You can never change what's happened to you. What's happened to you is happened to you. All right. But what you can do is give whatever has happened to you a meaning that now begins to serve you in, your life and your marriage and your business. So for instance, you look at soldiers that go to war and they lose a best friend, a person who they've literally spent their life training with and doing all kinds of different things. And now all of a sudden, here's what happens in their life is that person's gone like that. All right. And now they have to live with that. And they replay that image, that video in their mind over and over and over again. And it is there. And now what happens is such a traumatic incident literally, causes anxiety, and it causes depression, it causes insomnia, it causes all kinds of different things that wreaks havoc on a person's life. It could be losing a loved one, just a family member. It could be something traumatic. I think about my friends who are police officers and EMS and firefighters and some of the things that they see. But it could just be that something happened in your life. Maybe it was a bad divorce. It was being molested as a kid. I mean, there's so many horrific things that I could give as an example here, friends. And that's not the point of this podcast. The point is being able to take whatever it is for you that over the years has happened to you. And when you think about that particular event, it causes, you pain still to this day. It causes you worry. It causes you anxiety. It causes you frustration. It causes you overwhelm. It causes you fill in the blank of any negative emotion that you have. Okay. And now all of a sudden, if you understand that you have the power not to forget what happened, okay, but to change the meaning of what happened to now allow you to serve yourself. So I was talking with one gentleman and we were talking about his family and we were talking about his kids and we were talking about the divorce that he went through and how painful it was. And even when he still thinks about it to this day, it causes some anger, some frustration and some different things. And I said, here's the deal. You can never change what happened and the things that you did in that relationship and in that marriage that caused you to end up in the situation that you're in. But what you can do from now on is every time you think about your ex-wife, you could pray for her. You could thank God for her that she gave you the two beautiful children that you have, that you get to call yourself dad to. And you can be thankful of the things that you, once again, you just didn't go through, but you've grown through. So now when God gives you the next opportunity and brings in a daughter, you now are prepared to be a husband to a daughter of the king. You now know what not to do. And friends, sometimes knowing what not to do is more important than what to do. So I want you to think about in your life, what is something that's happening right now in your life that maybe you are attaching an overwhelm to, you are attaching a negative emotion to, something that's happening right now or something that has happened in the past, all right? And you now have the opportunity, friends, to change the meaning, to say, hey, when I think about this, this is now the meaning that I am going to attach to that situation. I think about the way that I grew up. And, yes, I could go back and I can wish that, my dad did this or that, or that my parents had more money growing up, or that we got to travel and go on the vacations that all the other families got to go on, right? I mentioned the Heinel family in my book, and I even wrote a letter to Rick, and he wrote me a letter back, and I said, you know what? You inspired me, another family where I would get to go over to their beautiful home and hang out with the kids. And I admired him, and I admired the life that the Heinel family had, and that they, Andy, the son, would say, hey, we're going to the Bahamas for vacation. And I remember them coming back and thinking like, oh my gosh, like that sounds amazing. And, just hearing about it and thinking, man, the Bahamas, and hearing other people talk about going on cruises and all those things. So, you know what, instead of me being upset because I grew up poor and I didn't have all those things and I was on welfare and free lunches and didn't graduate high school and all that stuff, I allowed those things to drive me as an entrepreneur to work harder on myself and to read the books and invest in the coaches and go to the conferences and the seminars and learn the skill sets that would allow me to make the money that it was going to take to be able to do all those things. And you know what? To this day, my wife and I, we've been on 14 cruises, and our kids have been on 3 or 4 of them. And they've been to Cancun, we've been to the Bahamas, and we've been to Rome and Italy, and we've traveled the world, and we've done all these awesome things that, you know what? At one point in my life, if I would have kept that story, if I would have continued to live in frustration, if I would have continued to live in a negative emotion, I would have never been able to do those things. So, friend, I want to share this with you today. I'm actually recording this podcast today from the beach, where my wife and I are staying for 5 weeks. For 5 weeks, we're able to just leave home and travel and stay at the beach for 5 weeks. We're actually leaving for 4 days tomorrow to go spend some time at our marriage mastermind in Colorado with Keith Craft and some amazing people. But none of this would be possible if I wouldn't have taken some time and looked at my life and been self-aware of the things that were holding me back, the things that I had attached negative emotions to that caused me frustration, caused me resentment, caused me bitterness, caused me overwhelm, and begin to start changing the meaning of those things that happen in my life and allow them to fuel me to work harder on myself so that I could have the life that I knew that God had for me, so that I could have the marriage that I knew God had for me, so I could have the health, right? My battle with mercury poisoning in 2013 and 2014, friends, for 2 years of my life was absolute hell. Why is this happening to me? I don't understand. I was perfectly healthy, and now all of a sudden I can't sleep, and I've got brain fog and neuropathy, and I used to be healthy, and now I'm on 6 medications and antipsychotic drugs and Valium and Zoloft and, all these different drugs, and I was just perfectly healthy. Why me? Why is this happening to me, right? And now I look back 10 years later and say, I learned so much about true nutrition. I learned so much about cellular health. I learned so much about being grateful and appreciative of every single day when I wake up saying, man, I have a new opportunity to live today like an adventure. Because, friends, at that time of my life in 2013 and 2014, I still had a beautiful wife. I had healthy kids. We had great income. We lived in a beautiful home. We got to travel, but nothing was ever good enough for me, right? I was always complaining and always like, there's more, right? And what that did for me is going through those 2 years of absolute hell not only gave me more of an appreciation for my life, but it's also allowed me to serve and help so many people in their own health and wellness journeys as well, knowing what's going on with them when no one else could tell them what's going on in the Western medical world, because I had to live through that. See, I turned my pain into purpose. So instead of saying, why me and why did that happen to me? It's a, you know what, I'm so grateful and thankful that God chose me, that he strengthened me, that he refined me through that fire of those years to now be able to do what I get to do on a daily basis. So I want you to just think about today, friends, before you go on with your day. Okay, whenever you're hearing this podcast, maybe you're driving right now, maybe you're at the gym, maybe you're watching this on YouTube, and you can hopefully see the beautiful ocean behind me. Is I want you to identify one thing, because if you can learn to change the meaning, you can change your life. But it starts with you just choosing one thing and saying, what is it in my life that's been holding me back? What is it in my life that I've had a wrong perspective that I'm going to no longer allow that to hinder me in going next level in my life? And I'm going to change the meaning. And I want to encourage you to sit down. I want to encourage you to get out a journal. I want to encourage you to write those things down and look at the lies that maybe you've been believing for all these years. You know, John 10:10 says, the enemy comes to steal, kill, and destroy, but I, Jesus, come to give you life abundantly. See, the enemy will continue to feed you lies until the moment that you say no more. There's a saying that if you believe the lies, you empower the liar. Friend, today I want to encourage you to no longer believe the lies that the enemy's been telling you, to change the meaning in an area or two of your life, whether it be right now, today, something you're going through, or something that you've gone through in the past, and give it a new meaning that will serve you, that will help you in going next level in your life. Now, friends, I will be real. Sometimes for some people, this can be difficult. Okay. There's been some things that I've had to work through that's been difficult. Okay. And if that's you, and maybe you've tried this and you're like, Curt, I've heard something like this before. I've listened to your podcast. Like, I just am not able to do this. Then, friends, you might need some help. And that's okay. Once again, in every opportunity I get to let people know, it's okay to ask for help. It's okay to have someone walk alongside you to get a result that you can't get on your own. All right. If that's you, shoot me a DM. All right. We'd be glad to meet with you and figure out how we might be able to help you go next level in your life, create a new vision, get some strategy, some accountability, whatever you need. But friend, I just know this for you is that if you can learn how to change the meanings in your life on things that have held you back for years and create meanings that will serve you, there is a next level life available and waiting for you right around the corner. What I like to call the champion life, friends: abundance, freedom, victory, where you're winning in every single area of your life. So, hey, friends, I'm going to get back to the beach and my family, my wife, but I want to let you know that I love you. I want to let you know that I'm praying for you. If you're listening to this podcast, I'm praying for you, and I'm rooting for you to win at an all new level this year in 2025. All right. Love you guys. We'll see you on the next episode, and God bless.